Hey guys, I am back for the final review of this summer. Today's review is on the Bachmann figures, also aka Bachmann Sir Topham Hatt, the Bachmann Conductor, and Bachmann Farmer McColl. Now I don't think I'm really going to go into that much detail in terms of bios and how they were seen in the TV series, because we are all familiar with Topham Hatt, Conductor. Farmer McColl, maybe briefly, I'll just say that he was first seen in season 6 in Toby Had a Little Lamb. I don't think he was called Farmer McColl until season 8 though. But however, I think the Americanized version of Toby Had a Little Lamb, they called him Farmer McColl, but when Michael Brandon took over. But when Alec Baldwin narrated Toby Had a Little Lamb, I think they just called him the farmer. But yeah, that's just something very brief. Anyways, what's really important is I want to get into these models. Now, I don't want to show you guys the blister packaging, so I'll just briefly say it's the same blister packaging as all the rolling stock and engines in the HO range. And yeah, that's that. But I do want to get into these models. Now, Sir Topham Hatt was introduced in 2002, the Conductor was introduced in 2008, and Farmer McColl was introduced in 2010. Now, what I find interesting though, the first thing, all of these were initially for the HO scale range. I mean, the large scale range started in 2009, but these two were made before then. So you look at these items and you say, wait, aren't those large scale figures? And that's something that's always puzzled me. Why was it that Bachmann made these ginormous Thomas figures that were clearly not HO scale? But that's always fascinated me, you know? Now, they are great models, so I'm not complaining, but comment down there, what do you think? Why did Bachmann make these, you know? Now, I'll just start with Sir Topham Hatt because there's actually a lot that I want to talk about with him. Now, you guys have seen him in my remakes and episodes for close-ups. That's what's so great about these items, you know, because that's my theory. Maybe Bachmann just wanted to make these for the sake of close-ups, so that if someone was filming like the little figures, they could just close up here. So it was maybe for the filming audience, or I should say that the filming consumers who wanted to film Thomas episodes and use these, because that's what they did do in the old classic series. They did have the small little figures for when the engines were there, but then for the close-ups of the people, they would use larger figures. So Topham Hatt is a nice model. These are all made out of plastic, very light. He is dated 2002 on the bottom. I'll try and close up on that. There you go, 2002. Detailed. The face is very simple, just a nice happy face. It does look like Topham Hatt though. Yeah, they have him on the green base. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is this does remind you of the Ertl Sir Topham Hatt, doesn't it? And I do have the Ertl Sir Topham Hatt right here. Now just take a look at that. Now, isn't that interesting? Just take a look. Look at how much bigger the Bachmann Sir Topham Hatt is than the Ertl Sir Topham Hatt. That's something I never noticed until I purchased the Ertl Sir Topham Hatt. It's always fascinated me, you know. That's the main difference. The other difference is the faces are a little bit different. The skin color is a little bit different. The Ertl Sir Topham Hatt is dated 2001. It says 2001 there, so it was just a year different. A little bit different. And it is a nice model too. But just look at the hand position. I mean, that's exactly the same. The way they have their right arm out a little bit and then the left arm is snuck in. I mean, I don't know if Bachmann just copied Ertl, or I mean, I don't know what the deal was, but I mean, it's just amazing how similar these two are. Now, I use both of them in my series. If you remember my Gordon and the Gremlin remake, I used Sir Topham Hatt when he was with the Conductors. However, I used the Ertl one when he was with Dowager Hatt or in other shots. Just because of expression and height, because the Ertl models are smaller than the Bachmann models. So yeah, I mean that's just one thing I wanted to point out. The other thing is that I remember back in the day, like 2008 or something, when I used to watch the old original Thomas series on YouTube, you know, Miss Oliver and Blossom, etc. I used to think this was the Bachmann Topham Hatt before I actually got the two. That's one thing I find rather interesting. Yeah, so that's Ertl Stuntman, and you can go over here. So yeah, that's that right there, and sorry about that, my dad just walked in, but anyways, I think we left off with the conductor. So once again, like I said before, the conductor was introduced in 2008. The bottom says 2008. Let's see, get closer. There you go. Now, one thing that I did in my conductor is I painted his hair black. It comes in a brown color, but in a certain remake, his hair was actually black, so I just decided to paint it black, but whatever. Again, a very nice model. This model, his face actually looks pretty accurate to a season 6 version of the close-up conductor, actually. I forget which episode it is, but he looks just very similar to the one in the TV series. Yeah, I mean, I just like it. He's very detailed. Again, good for close-ups. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say, but again, these are great. One other Sir Topham Hatt model I would like to get, going back to Sir Topham Hatt, is the Lionel Sir Topham Hatt. That's also very similar. That model is also very similar to these, in that it also stands on the base. However, I think the Lionel models of Sir Topham Hatt and the driver and fireman actually are on blue bases. I believe the bases are blue, not green. That's one difference right there. But again, they would be great for close-ups. That's why, if I wanted to get the Lionel, Sir Topham Hatt, and conductors, that'd be great also for, again, remakes and episode close-ups in the episodes. And lastly, here's Farmer McCall. Now, when you look at him, when I look at Farmer McCall, I don't see a classic series Farmer McCall. If you look at his face, it looks a little bit odd. He's looking over to his right. I don't know what he's thinking, but whatever. His face, though, that's not a classic series Farmer McCall's face. If you looked at Farmer McCall in this classic series, he always looked very stern. He was a very stern man. When you looked at his eyebrows, always looked almost as if he was angry about something, but he doesn't look too angry here, so this is definitely a CGI. They were definitely aiming for the CGI series. Also, his clothing is also much lighter. Now, I think in the CGI series and the model series, the green was supposed to be a bit darker, but, I mean, they went with this more, I guess, pale green. Not that I have a problem with that. I think it still looks good, but that's one thing that's interesting. Also, I find it very funny how his arms are just like they're just like right at his sides like that. He almost looks very tense if you look at him. He doesn't look very relaxed. That I find interesting, but yeah, I mean, overall it is a very nice model. I like the look of it. They got his overall look correct. And like I said, he's dated 2010. One thing I do find interesting, if you remember my Red Coaches review, if you watched it, I said the base was the same as Annie and Clarabelle, so it would have stated 2002, but this is 2010. Now, what I find interesting is that the bases on all three of these are exactly the same. So why is it that with the Red Coaches, they were dated 2002, but then with these bases, they each had their own individual dates? That's another thing I find rather interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's really, sorry, I'm just looking at these. That's really it. I mean, I would really like Bachmann to make more of these large-scale figures, because that's what I call them now. I don't call them HO figures anymore, because they're really not. They are large-scale. I would love to see, I should get him out of here because he's not Bachmann. I would love to see Bachmann make, Lady Had or maybe a signalman or a workman, or even Stephen and Bridget Had. That would be fantastic. If Bachmann could make children like Stephen and Bridget Had, Stephen in his green clothing and Bridget in his pink clothing, that would be absolutely fantastic. I would get those definitely for close-ups for future remakes and episodes, and I would maybe even do a review on them. I mean, because they are, after all, seen in the CGI series to this day, and are very nice, and they would again bring different colors to the Bachmann to the Bachmann merchandise and the Bachmann range. You know, because Steven wears a bright green shirt and Bridget wears pink, and with the exception of Rosie that's coming out, no other item is pink as far as I'm concerned. So that would definitely attract, you know, boys and even girls who like Thomas. So and they can be labeled as large scale figures after all. So that's about it. I mean, tell me, do you guys think that Bachmann should make more of these large figures? Because I always found these rather fascinating. And this is a review actually that I wanted to do way back when I started on YouTube in 2013, but I just never got around to doing it. But you tell me, guys, should Bachmann make more of these large scale figures? I think they are really great. But you tell me and give me suggestions. Like, do you think Bachmann should make Steven and Bridget head or etc.? Give me suggestions. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. And this is me, Terrorstructor525, and thank you guys so much for watching.